What is malice? Malice is an intent to cause injury. This is malicious, okay? This is somebody that's just being malicious. As it says here, despicable acts of a defendant. What is despicable? Things that are despised by reasonable people. What's a reasonable person? Tell it to the jury. Hopefully they agree with you. So, despicable acts of a defendant, despised by reasonable people. And malice, willing and knowing disregard of the rights or safety of another. So despicable acts, knowing and willful disregards of the rights or the safety of another. Okay, so lots of things can be malicious. You know, things that are extreme and outrageous, things where you just go, holy cow, who would do that to another person? That's malicious. That's what you're looking for. Now, the final way, number 3 here, actually it's number 2 on my chart, but is oppression. Oppression, what is that? It's, again, despicable conduct of a defendant which causes cruel and unjust hardship in knowing disregard of the rights of others. So that may seem similar to malice. It may seem malicious. As you know the word oppressing, you're oppressing somebody, you're just squashing them and turning them into not even a human being anymore and causing cruel and unjust hardship. Okay, so that's a quick and dirty overview. This is general information, not legal advice, but this is information about punitive damages. If you have those facts in a complaint and you can allege them, sure, allege them, but you also need to go forth and prove it. The burden of proof is always on the plaintiff in a punitive damage action. Now, one more thing I'll say is, what amount could it be? It could be any amount. A jury could award $50 million, but that doesn't mean that it's going to hold up on appeal. If you get too high of a damage award, a defendant may argue that that violates due process, take it up on appeal, and that could be reduced on appeal. So the general rule to go by is that punitive damages should bear some relation to the actual loss. But then again, you have jury verdicts all over the place in dollar amounts. So as a plaintiff always shoots for the moon, okay? On a certain time. Now, if you can get that in writing, I have here, document your efforts, okay? So what you're really doing is just making sure you have a paper trail, because sometimes you're with an opposing counsel that likes to play games, and they may set a date, and then they get closer, and then they go, sorry, we can't make it, and they start pulling this on you. You want to be able to show your good faith efforts if you have to go in and get a motion to force them to a deposition, okay? So document your efforts. I like to put things in writing and then follow up with a phone call. That's my preferred way to do it. And again, so you're getting dates, you're documenting that, you're securing a date. So by the time you get here, you got your court reporter done, you got your date, you've confirmed your date with your court reporter, everybody's on the same page, you know where it's going to be, time and place, and you know if it's going to be a video deposition or not. So that's the first set. Now sometimes I have here, set by code. What does that mean? Well, sometimes you have a heck of a time trying to set dates, and you work in good faith with opposing counsel to try to do this, or the opposing party, and sometimes they're just not cooperating. You're not able to get this deposition set, and so you do have a right to set it by code. And so sometimes I have to tell my adversaries that, look, if you can't come up with some dates, if you keep canceling, we're just going to set it by the code. And then if you don't show up on that date, hey, we'll just put it on the record, and then we'll go seek discovery sanctions in court, okay? So set by the code, I'm going to give you just the California code here. My practice in California predominantly is where my practice is. But CCP 225.270 typically is 10 days notice. So if you're going to personally serve your notice, this is our notice we're going to get here. If you personally serve that, all you need to give them is 10 days notice. 10 days notice, personal serve. If you're mailing it, it's going to be 15 days, okay? If you're out of state, it's usually going to be to add some more days that you have to give notice, an additional 10 days, for example. So I'm not going to go too much into that. Check the rules. These may change from time to time. So again, this is general information, but you want to set it by code. And if you're doing that, you're putting at some point you're getting here in the process, okay? We're getting here where we're setting the deposition notice. Now, the deposition notice is a formal notice, and I'm going to put a link in the bottom of this video to basically an overview of the deposition notice from saclaw.org. I really like this website. It's very helpful. SACLaw. So if you're looking to see what it looks like, go into my messages into the link on this video, and you'll see a little sample, okay? But now you got to get the notice, the formal notice. You put it in writing, the time, the place, time. Let's talk about time. Typically in California, you would have 7 hours to take a deposition of another party. So that's a pretty good amount of time. So if you think the deposition is going to go 7 hours, 5, 6, 7 hours, you're going to need to set this earlier, typically like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, okay? So you're going to need to set that earlier. If you think you're only going to be there for a couple hours, just some quick questions you have to ask, then you may want to set it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon so that you're just working off the rest of your day there. So time's important, the place. This could be the opposing party's law office. This could be at the court reporters provide offices. Sometimes the court reporter offices are nice because they have food, and sometimes they'll bring you food. And what else? What else in the notice? You may want to have a demand for documents. You may say, I want you to bring these documents with you. And 1, 2, 3, I want the contracts. I want the emails. I want this. I want that. And this is very important when you're setting the depo. Get those documents in there that you want them to bring, okay? So you can not only go into a deposition not only with your own documents, but documents that they're bringing. You can also ask them about their responses to these, because these are under oath as well. So when you get to a deposition, you may want to ask them about the complaint. In fact, I'm just going to go right here. You may want to ask them about the complaint, the answer, the discovery, documents that you produce, documents that are yours, and just get their general sworn testimony under oath. Okay, you're locking in a deposition is designed to lock in their testimony so they can't go change it later at trial. If they do, you pull up the deposition and you try to impeach them, and you say, Judge, at the deposition she said something totally different, and so you pull it up and it's all under oath, and then you ask them, were you lying then? Or are you lying now? So that's the classic trap, okay? So that's why you're doing these depositions. So get your document demand in there, be thorough, have them bring the things you want to bring. If they're not bringing them all,